let's see. I mean, cause 1 2 1 2. You know how I go, man. I don't. Once again, man, you gotta introduce yourself, good brother.
All right, well, I'm Darnell from Brooklyn. That's it.
No social media, no nothing.
Nah, I don't do social media.
So there's no way for them to get at you, huh?
I don't need nobody to get at me, baby.
Ooh. You have a YouTube though, right?
No.
A YouTube account or something like that.
I don't do none of that. I
Well,
don't do social
let
media.
me tell you why I'm saying that. Because before we start, right, I made a video and I said that the person that answered all of the questions, I would give them $100, right? And it was actually you actually won, right? So I needed, but first, what is your YouTube handle? What is it?
BK Lazy Star.
That's just so the people know what it is, right? And we over here, like, you know what I'm saying? There's no lion here, right? He won. I knew he was coming, so I didn't want to cash app him or whatever. I figured that I'd give it to him straight up in his hand.
Oh,
Here you go,
that's
good
what's up.
brother.
That's what's up.
Know what I mean?
That's
There you go.
Definitely a surprise I did
There
not
you
expect.
go. Of course not. But I just want you to know that I'm a man of my word, so y'all know that. So once again, we're going to do that again. And when I do,
That's what's up.
you get that money. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. So now that, unfortunately, I know a lot of y'all people thought y'all was going to win, but y'all cheated. Y'all definitely cheated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just putting that out there. They definitely cheated. So we know that. So, this is what we're going to do, man. The first question I'm going to ask you is this. We're going to go down this road. Why do you think that, now not even why do you think, do you still think that black men are victims of systemic racism?
All the time. There's no way around that. You can't avoid it.
Could you tell me why?
Wow.
Give me an example of the racism that you speak
Systemic
of.
racism, from my perspective, that just comes from like we can't, the redlining thing, that's still relevant today. I live in a neighborhood. The neighborhood that I moved in is even though it's predominantly Spanish, but it's still a lot of black people there, and you can see by the way that they take care of the neighborhood. Cause when I drive around in Brooklyn and Queens, there's no shit on the floor.
Me from dogs.
Yeah, there's no shit on the floor. I still see, and where I live in my neighborhood, I shit you not, in the parks, I still see crack vials, and I still see fucking heroin needles.
Let me ask you. Wait, let me stop you briefly. You said the neighborhood you live in now is predominantly
Spanish and black.
Can I ask you a question? Can a Spanish person be racist? Spanish don't even make sense.
Yes. Yes. A Spanish person can't per se be totally racist, because racism more is like somebody that can control your destiny.
Having power.
That's what it is. So that's what that is. That's the racism part. But they could be prejudiced.
Prejudice.
They could definitely be prejudiced against you, but they don't have as much authority as per se the system does, or the white man per se.
So you're saying that
affects your life. They can't take your house away. They can't take your job away. They can't affect you as much as this white man do. They can't be a Karen and just say, oh, this person is here harassing me, a black person, da 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 da, and the police gonna come ASAP. They don't have that same.
What do you
energy.
think? What do you think is the main differences between the obstacles that we faced, let's say during Jim Crow versus now? Like, is there a difference? Do we have a different set of obstacles now? Because it would seem as if
I think right now we go through more shit now. I think we go through more shit now. It's just televised. We still getting shot down every day by police on a daily basis. We still getting I still hearing a lot of people like police officers and sheriffs and shit like that across the country that's going down now for shit that they've done to people for years. They've been terrorizing neighborhoods for years, and they just now getting caught up because of the shit that just started happening because of that George Floyd shit and all the other shit that happened in the backlash. So now that this new Justice Department is in there, they starting to look at racism a little bit more within the system. They just started that. They knew it was there.
So, all right. So, I guess the argument to that will always be this, right? This is not my argument, but this is the argument that I hear the most, right? Why is it that we care so much when we get shot down by police or whatever, and we don't care when it happens in our neighborhood, like due to gang violence or whatever it is.
I think that
why do we not care?
Because the news is who controls the narrative. Them motherfuckers is the problem.
The news.
They control the narrative.
All right, so can I ask you a question? So you're saying that it's not a fact that when we go into our neighborhoods that it's dangerous for us to move around?
Oh, shit happens. Yeah, shit happens, but shit also happens in their neighborhood. But they don't display it on TV. You will never see on the news a white man laying down on the street with gun wounds. You will never see that on the news.
But you said it happens.
But it happens, but you'll never see that on the news. You'll see a black man lay down on the street. They show that all the time on the news. They'll see the body. They'll show the body on the news, but they'll never show a white man on the news.
Is it not disproportionate though? Like, is it not like? I mean, because I'm gonna ask you a question. This is gonna sound crazy. Do you feel safer in a white neighborhood or a black neighborhood?
Personally, I don't feel safe in either. To be honest, I just think fucked up shit happens everywhere. It doesn't matter where you at.
So it can happen anywhere.
It can happen anywhere from anybody or any race, anything. It can just happen.
The reason why I ask you that is because it seems as if I'll give you an example. You see how like recently, I guess there's been a string of robbery. I mean, in LA, it's been happening like that. It's like that everywhere, right? But it seems as if we're more willing to rob each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll do that before we'll go in the jewelry store or bank or, some type of other establishment. Why is that?
I think that all comes back to the systematic racism thing because we are we pushed into an area where we are more on top of each other, per se the projects. So, not for nothing. When you have more people in the vicinity, of course you're gonna have more people fucking each other up, beating each other up, fighting and stuff like that. So when you stack a whole project on top of each other, you put 30 units there. Each unit got 2 to 3 people in that house. And you do that on a whole block. And then, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole city right there on a block. So you got more people, so it's going to be more conflict eventually. And they did that by pushing us all into that area. And then, at the same time, they take the resources away to make it harder for these people to eat and go forward. Because I'm going to give you a perfect example. Housing is a trap. And the reason why housing is a trap, why you can't pay the light bill. The reason why you can't pay the light bill is because you can't fix your credit. That's why they don't want you to do that. Because, if you could start fixing your credit, you could start getting things going for yourself. You could get the fuck out of the projects. But they don't want you to get out the projects. And they do these type of fucking systematic systems and systematic fucking programs to keep us in the fucking system, bro.
Well, this goes back to my last interview talking about Jay-Z and I guess his greatness. He said a project is a project because it's a project. An experiment wherein it only is objects, right? So I understand what you mean when you say that like people are on top of each other. It's too many people, so that certain things are gonna happen, right? But when do we as people we say, all right, enough is enough, and start doing things different? Like, why do we still do the same thing, expecting a different result?
Because we're still fucking poor. You never see a fucking a rich man upset, bro. It's poor motherfuckers.
There's times when rich people jump off buildings, brother.
Yeah, when they find out that they lost their income.
Happiness is not built on finance.
But that's my
point.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying like they're poor. They're poor. When you're poor, when they don't put trees up, where you can't even get fruit from this tree, because all they put up is male trees and shit like that. So a hungry man can even go get an apple and eat. Motherfuckers is hungry out here, bro. We are hungry out here, and they are literally leaving us in this condition to survive on our own. They're not giving us none of the tools in the schools to help us advance out of the fucking situation.
So why don't we give it to ourselves? Why do we keep looking for somebody else to give us anything?
It's a hard.
It's a hard question, but you're a very intelligent guy, so I expect you to answer the hard question.
That question right there, I really don't have a solid answer for. Honestly, I don't know why we're so fucking stupid that we can't just realize that we just need to be like the Mexicans and the Chinese and the Indians and just, stack our bread together as a family, buy a fucking house, put all our money together in a house, pay. All of us could pay $100 each and still keep our checks. You know what I'm saying, like that, and then go get another house together and go get a fucking business and do the same thing and expand like that and buy land and shit. Like, I don't understand why we can't get it together.
Can I ask you a question? How many times have you started or you tried to do something, right, with your people, and your own people were the people that's like, nah, that's not gonna work. I'm not gonna do that. We can't do that. They give you all the reasons why it won't work, and they don't support you at all.
It happens too often.
Well, I mean, because I know a lot of people.
It happens too often, to be honest.
Like,
because I've been in situations, like, I've been in situations and people really looked at me at one point as a failure, or that I was going to be a failure. And, you know, I proved a lot of people wrong in my lifetime, in my lifespan.
I mean, why would they think that?
Because of the path that I was taking at the time. You know?
That's a very, you know what? I want to pivot real quick, right? Because would you consider yourself like where's like your mother and your father, like your origin? Like, where do you come from?
Well, I come from, my mother and my father, I knew who they were. My mother and my father broke up when I was young. I was about 4. They went their separate ways.
You know you didn't. You look at the camera one time. The people, yeah.
My fault.
There's eyes, right? That's his eyes.
That's because I'm thinking.
Yeah, he's not lying. It's just
I'm thinking about
yeah,
I'm thinking about the timeline.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So basically, like, my mother and my father, they separated when I was young. I haven't seen my father until I was like 13, 14 years old when he came back into my life. But he came back into my life during a very pivotal time because I was in, you know, going through juvenile jail shit, and my mother, she couldn't take me back. The courts banned me from the Bronx. Like, literally, they told me that I was doing too much shit and I couldn't come back to the Bronx. So after I did my bid, if my mother didn't have another place of residency, I couldn't come back to her in her custody.
You got that California thing going on. Boom. It's the
earthquake.
I'm sorry,
brother.
I'm just saying, I just put it out there.
Yeah,
so
I'm making my point.
Like, what I'm trying to ask you is like, would you consider yourself what? Are you like from the Caribbean? Are you like foundational Black
I'm
American?
Mutt, bro. I don't know what the fuck I am.
All right, so but basically, so you're basically a black guy, like regular, normal people from the South.
My grandfather's from the South.
That type thing.
My grandfather from the South. On my father's side is Indian, Cherokee, and Trinidadian.
All right, so now let me ask you a question. Do you think that I asked somebody something about like we first spoke about, we said, can Spanish people, because I don't like to say Spanish, that don't even make sense, but you know what I mean, like, can Caribbean people be racist?
No, they cannot be racist, but they can be prejudiced.
They can be so basically the in order to be racist, there's a power component.
There's a power component.
Like, they have to be able to stop you from doing things.
You have to be able
all right,
to control my destiny.
All Caribbean people prejudiced.
Yes.
Like,
at times.
Have you faced that yourself?
If I have, I haven't recognized it or seen it myself. All the Caribbean people that I've run across, they've been cool. They've been welcoming, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? And plus, I don't go to like late night Jamaican parties and shit like that. you never know what kind of personality will jump out on you. You know what I'm saying? I don't be going, but like for the most part, I don't. You know what I'm saying? They cool.
Recently, there's been like a big back and forth about who created hip hop, right? And a lot of people say that Jamaica, like not just Jamaican, Caribbean people. They said Fat Joe. You said you listen. Fat Joe said Puerto Ricans are 50%. They contributed 50% to hip hop. That's what he said. What do you think about that?
Hip hop started in the Bronx.
You're from the Bronx, right?
I'm from Brooklyn, but I was raised in the Bronx. I'm not gonna ever say I'm from the Bronx. I'm from Brooklyn.
No, because you was in the Bronx.
I was raised in the Bronx.
Well, you kind of gave us the history. You was in the Bronx. You was raised in hell in the Bronx, and they said, yo, you gotta go.
Yeah, basically.
So then you went to Brooklyn and started raising hell over there. Back to Brooklyn. All right, so you started in Brooklyn.
Yeah, went to the Bronx and came back to Brooklyn again.
It's always some Brooklyn, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're saying that what? That it was created by who?
See, it was started in the Bronx, and the Bronx is predominantly Spanish. So, I mean, I don't know.
So you saying Spanish people created hip hop?
I'm not gonna say that they created it.
I'm
I'm not gonna say that they created it, but I'm gonna say that that's where a lot of Spanish people are at. And I mean, it started off with them dancing, the bebop and stuff like that.
So you saying that the people that was doing that in Harlem in the 1920s and 30s, 40s,
they claim the Bronx is where hip hop started.
But we're talking about people were scatting and rhyming and doing all that stuff
in Harlem.
Yeah, they've been doing that. Like,
that's
I mean,
cool,
that's even down south. Like, people
cool
been doing that.
But they still stamp it as the Bronx, as the place where it started.
This is one thing. Look, this one thing I do. When I have a conversation, I remember everything you say, right? This is what you said. You said the media, right? The media. So how is this not now the media, good brother? I just want to know, because I'm telling you that the media is saying that. They're saying Cool Herc or whatever they're saying, but I can show you instances of people.
I wasn't there. So this is what I've gotten from, KRS-One, Funk Master Flash.
Funk Master Flash.
Funk
You used to
Grandmaster
Grandmaster Flash.
Flash.
I know what you did. I know what happened.
And all of the old school dudes from back then, they claimed that the Bronx is where it started. So I took that as a grain of salt, bro. If it's not, hey.
I'm not saying that it didn't start in the Bronx. Whether it did or didn't, I don't know. But they had a lot of DJs here, Grandmaster Flowers, Brooklyn, people in Queens, everywhere. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I think that this type of like thing is in us anyway. You know what I'm saying? All these things,
it's traditional.
Like, yeah, it's in us. Like, so, we could go back. Like, maybe it came from Africa.
I doubt that.
How you know? I mean, what?
Because we ain't come from Africa. I'm sorry, brother.
Let's start it. Let's start that. Look, I said maybe it came from Africa. I never said we came from nowhere.
Yeah, well, if
I never said that.
we didn't come from Africa and it was already,
I said it.
If we didn't come from Africa and it was already in our DNA and we was already on this land, it came from right here too. Though.
All right, let's talk about. Look, this is what it is. Like, I'm a jewel thief, right? I caught the jewel, right?
Yeah.
You're saying that we did not originate on the African continent. Please explain that.
Well, the slave trade, as far as they,
the media portrays it. We
it,
back to the media. They lied.
Well, the government actually, the way that they portrayed it is not been true.
So could you tell us the truth?
The truth is that they came here, they pillaged the people, and they enslaved the people and told the people some bullshit so we could forget our real identity.
So we was always here.
We are still here.
Aboriginal Indians type thing.
Here. We are still
so
here.
We never came from nowhere, no Africa.
Some of us did, but it was a very small percentage compared to what was already here. There's no way, my nigga, that they took 300 million people from that side and enslaved them on this side. You cannot, it's impossible for them to fucking bring that many people across the fucking sea, especially with their bullshit technology and boats that they had back then.
Shout out to Dan Calloway. That's Dan Calloway. I see the influence. I mean, all right. So you basically saying you are an Indian.
Yes.
I mean, for lack of a better,
I'm a national. I'm a national American, yes.
And that gives you what right? As opposed to everybody else.
That gives me the right of being a man first, more than an entity. I'm not an entity. I'm a man. I'm a human being. I'm flesh. I'm blood. I got the God-given right to be here.
So your Social Security number is not traded on the stock market?
I am taking I'm taking care of that as we speak, brother.
What?
I'm literally taking care.
Hold on, I got what? That's heavy. You can't just say that.
Yeah, I'm literally saying that.
So what's gonna?
Well, the first thing is a process. You have to go to the courts and let the courts be aware of your status before you do anything. Because the first thing we do when we're born, we get a birth certificate and a social that's attached to us. And when we get that birth certificate and that social security, if we don't claim our status after 45 days, they consider you dead in the system, and then they take over, and now you have this straw man attached to you. In order for you to get that back, you have to go to the courts and make the courts aware of your status, and that's what I'm doing right now. I am putting the courts aware of my status. I already went to the birth certificate place, got my long form birth certificate, my exemption letter. I went to the state. I told the state, put the state on notice. Now I gotta go to the federal government, put the federal government on notice, let them all stamp it, and I have to seal from New York State saying that this is my status. I am a national. And then once I do that, I could go through the next process of getting rid of the social and getting rid of everything else. And then finding out what my trust is and getting access to that and clearing some of my debt possibly.
Whoa. That's heavy right there. That's heavy right there. You said find out. Can you speak about the trust a little bit? Just not too much, just a little bit.
Trust. Well, basically, the trust is the social and your and the numbers on your birth certificate. That is the trust number that is linked to the federal government that they put you under, because you are basically a debt. We have no cash. We don't have no gold. I mean, our cash is a fucking debt tender paper, and that's exactly what it is. A debt tender paper. It's not backed up by silver. It's not backed up by gold. It hasn't been backed up by that shit since 1913 or 1933. One of those 2 fucking years. But back then, they fucked up the whole fucking treasury, and they put us as the collateral. And that's what I mean by us, literally, the people is the collateral.
That's heavy right there.
And if you don't know your rights, you'll be stuck in the game. And then when they come to claim, and when these countries come,
bro, you gotta tell them that. That's
when
heavy.
These countries come and they want to fucking claim their fucking bid, like they say we owe China all this fucking money and shit, and they come to claim, you are that collateral. That's why they are taking out. That's why they're taking away our money right now. They're making this federal system so that everybody money could all the money could be disappearing. They could just follow everybody cash. They cut your fucking shit. They did it to Canada. The motherfucking truckers in Canada. They did it to them. They cut all their finances off through their computer systems, Zelle, Cash App, all them fucking shit. They're gonna have control of all of that shit. If you go against the grain, they're gonna cut your finances off and fuck you in the ass. Get land, buy land. Put up a fence, put up a fucking sign that says no trespassing, if you will be shot. Trust me, you'll be safer if you start doing shit like that.
Whoa, there you have it, man. Look, that's powerful right there, man. There you have it, man. So what I'm gonna do is this, man. I'm not even gonna ask you another question. I'm gonna ask you to close it out with whatever else you think that people need to know.
What the people should know? Just do your homework. Be diligent, and don't be stupid to believe everything that you see. When these motherfuckers tell you something, do more research on it, because most likely it's bullshit. You could be free if you want to be free. That's it.
There you have it, man. You could be free if you want to be free. He doesn't have any social media, but if you email me or whatever, you have any questions, whatever you want to talk to him about, I can get at him, and we'll do that. And if you want to see him again, if you want to explain a little bit more about some of the things he was talking about, send me an email, put it in the comments, do something, man. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, and let's see what's going on, man. Like, that was pretty heavy right there.
Bless everyone, and thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.
There we go, right there.
Let some Jews in the skull and eat the cell if you chose.